beautiful.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Let me higher the volume a little bit. I couldn't hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Nice. I can hear you too.
Great.
Today I woke up. I don't know what's going on because I drink coffee, but today I'm extra hyper. So excuse my energy level.
No, that's fine. That's great. That's welcome.
I'm extra happy today. Like if I'm gonna like just skyrocket out of here. But this is good for us because
that's great.
a lot's gonna come through today. I hope I didn't butcher your name. How do you say your name? Because it's different. So I'm just curious.
Nyasha.
Nyasha.
Yeah.
Okay, that's beautiful. Where is that from?
Zimbabwe.
Oh, beautiful. What a gorgeous name. I've never heard it before, so I was just curious. That's wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us. Where are you joining us from, Nyasha?
I am in Tulum in Mexico.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Well, where are you?
I'm in Florida. It's nice too. It's nice too. It's paradise here. It's a part of Florida. It's called Naples. Do you live in Tulum?
I do, yeah.
Wow. I want to go one day. I've heard such wonderful things about Tulum.
Yeah. I love it here.
Wonderful. Well, today we're gonna talk. The purpose of these lives and these interviews are for us to talk about the Course in Miracles, and I know that you teach the course as well and are familiar with the course. And the whole purpose of the interviews for me is to be truly helpful in talking to the guest about not only the terms and what is the course, but also very important, the practicality and how to apply it in your life. And today the topic that was coming to me was how to discern the Holy Spirit and the ego voice, how to listen more to our inner wisdom. I'm having my ACIM class on Friday, and it's actually focused on listening and channeling spirit. So I was just curious, on hearing the voice of your inner guidance, how do you discern the voice of the Holy Spirit and the voice of ego, which is the voice of love and fear? If you could talk to us a little bit about that.
For sure. First of all, hello everyone. So happy and honored and blessed to be here and to be joining with you and with the Holy Spirit in this eternal now. I love the course so much, and I'm so happy to be sharing with you all. I'm so grateful for the invitation to be here. So for me, I always share with those that I support in my group spaces that the Holy Spirit feels like peace. And often the Holy Spirit comes as a voice which brings comfort. It brings inspiration. It might come out of nowhere, like suddenly an idea comes, or sometimes the Holy Spirit comes through a reflection of you, say something someone else says, or you might find your awareness drawn towards a specific line in a book, or you might see a post on social media and you can feel the Spirit is speaking to you there. So the Holy Spirit uses everything that the ego created for his plan of salvation and for his plan of healing and atonement. So in that sense, you can hear the Holy Spirit through pretty much anything in this dream world if you are listening and attuned. And then the discernment comes with really getting to know the feeling that you experience, right? So the ego thoughts and thoughts from the ego mind will be always based in fear, in lack, in some kind of sort of striving to get somewhere that you believe that you're not, and ultimately in separation. So often there's comparison, often there's competition, often there's things like greed or unworthiness. There's a sense of disconnection from love and from God. And so obviously the ego is a masterful illusionist, and there can be very subtle ways that the ego will, project thought, So we get to, really be kind of like detectives with like the subtle energetics and the subtle vibrations in the thoughts that come from the ego thought system. Sometimes, I was talking yesterday about how we can believe that we are like being spiritual and sometimes even being loving, and actually there's like a subtle layer of judgment and therefore a subtle layer of attack. And so we really get to be very forgiving with ourselves as we kind of deepen our discernment. There's obviously some times where it's like clear, if we want to look, it's clear that the ego thought system is at play, and there's other times where like we might be able to tell ourselves that it isn't. We might be like, oh yeah, I'm being loving or compassionate right now. But if you really tune in on a subtler level, you know, I find often when we're talking about another person, another seemingly separate son of God, and if we're saying anything that isn't pure love, then ultimately it's the ego. And so it's very interesting to reflect on that. So every time I mention someone else, what is the actual true essence behind what I'm saying and why I'm saying it? And then we can kind of trace back then if it's coming from, you know, the ego thought system, or if it's coming from the Holy Spirit mind, the joined mind. And the same thing for ourselves, right? So is there a subtle attack within what we are thinking towards ourselves? Is there a subtle layer of judgment, of criticism, of not enoughness? Is there fear of losing love that we believe that we are separate from, that we believe we don't have? Is there, you know, a sense of being disconnected from the love that we are, you know? So there's many ways, but ultimately, if we make it simple, it's love or fear. You know, is it peace or is it the disturbance of peace? You know, and the other thing I would say too is that sometimes we're in the split mind and we're kind of in between. You know, like we've realized that we maybe chose for the ego somewhere, and so we're starting to, you know, move towards making a more right-minded choice and asking for, so maybe some support from the Holy Spirit. That we can still, we kind of got our eyes on both. It's like we're aware of the ego mind, like thought trying to be like separation or something's bad or wrong or lack or hard. And then there's the other way, we feel the call to peace of like, nothing happened, and like you're not upset for the reason you think, and you could be peaceful even now. You know, that peace is a choice and it's available if you choose it, and that you're still loved, you know, no matter what's happening outside of you or inside of you. And so, you know, in those moments, actually, it's a really good opportunity for us to like kind of familiarize ourselves from our place of awareness with the two, you know, different voices in the thought systems. Because in that moment, we're kind of in the decision maker. So we've come back to the central place, and we're above the battleground, so to speak, and we can see both. We maybe haven't completely chosen for the Holy Spirit yet. But it's actually like, those are really great learning moments, you know, there's a lot of information there. Okay, so this is what the differences are, and this is how maybe the ego thought system will try and pull me away from the right-minded choice, even when I'm making, you know, wise choices to kind of choose again, you know.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's very, I love the way you describe it, because it's very practical. It's everyday language of, it's either if you're feeling at peace, you have that nudge, okay, I'm following guidance, or it also feels good energetically, you know, when you are connected to spirit is different than when you're connected to the ego. I mean, the experience, the perception is even different. You know, you either see through Christ's vision, or you see through the madness, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about practice, because I was thinking while you were speaking of what has helped me connect to my inner wisdom has been two things. One has been free writing. So that has been channeling. And I learned this actually at Pathways of Light, which is accredited school of A Course in Miracles. It's kind of like A Course in Miracles University, and I became a minister there. And one of the practices we had to do is we had to constantly journal. So it was constantly asking questions on paper and receiving instruction, and asking questions and receiving, and literally channeling on the page, Holy Spirit. I'm getting goosebumps just saying it, because it really changed my life. So I would ask a question, I would say, Holy Spirit, what insights do you have? And I would literally channel. Sometimes I would start with, I can't hear anything. This is so, you know, annoying, or this is not working. But with time, I started to have the voice start coming in, and I began channeling that way. And I've been doing that for years, free writing, I call it. Now I do it now just naturally without writing as much. And another thing that has helped me is forgiveness. So every time that I'm in non-judgment, when I'm forgiving, when I'm lifting the veil of illusion, when I come back to the mind of God, when I remember I've never left the mind of God, that helps the Holy Spirit come back in my mind. Because when I'm in my cuckoo brain and I think I know everything and I'm trying to replace God, I can't hear. And I feel, that the Holy Spirit's at the corner of the room just waiting for me to come back to my sanity, you know? Because I have free will. I have a loving Father that knows that I have ultimately chosen him, but I get to think that I haven't, right? So this is a super powerful part here, and I hope that you can speak to that too, but that's what's helped me. So I'm curious of what helps you connect.
I love this question, you know, and I feel like everyone, all of us on our journeys will like find different ways to connect at different times, depending on, you know, the kind of joining that we are most available for. And the Holy Spirit knows that, right? And so the Holy Spirit, again, will like knows our passions and interests and how we spend our time, and is going to be like, you know, guide us towards certain things as a way to know him more clearly. So for some, you know, that might be through singing. Like for me, I love to sing and sound and channel light through my voice. And so whenever I am, you know, intentionally offering my voice for the Holy Spirit to come through, obviously for me, that's a moment where I'm very much like feeling the full, complete joining in the mind of God. And, you know, also when I'm teaching, you know, absolutely, like when I'm sharing wisdom and in service, whenever I essentially choose to extend love, when I choose to help one of my brothers or sisters, when I'm offering myself for the Holy Spirit to use in service to, you know, the well-being of all, I'd say that's probably when I would feel the Holy Spirit most. And without, you know, I feel like when I'm in service, my small self is just like not the focus, and it's not the reason, it's nothing to do with it. And so I'm just emptied in that moment, and I can just be filled by the Spirit.
Yeah.
And so for me, like service was a massive accelerator for me to be able to really feel the Holy Spirit working through me. And then in kind of day-to-day life, I noticed that when I slow down, when I'm in stillness, when I'm being present, for me also when I'm, say, in bodies of water, you know, just because I'm relaxing, you know, I'm not in the kind of ego mind hustle of needing to do or being somehow against time, you know. So those moments where I'm able to bring my mind and then also sometimes my body, or sometimes not my body, but bringing my mind ultimately into, you know, a more eternal space, you know, beyond time, where I'm not, there's no goal, you know. I find when there's no goal, I'm not trying to connect to the Holy Spirit, say, or trying to do anything in the world, then it's more just like I've taken away the layers that might distort, you know, my capacity to hear the Spirit speaking, you know, because for me the Spirit is always speaking in every moment. It's more a case of, am I listening or not? And that has less to do with what I'm doing as much as what's going on within my mind. Although do it like certain things, like when I put myself in certain environments, they, you know, kind of are supportive of me coming into right-mindedness. Like natural environments for me, like when I'm in around trees or around in water, like the, you know, the elements which kind of seem to reflect more of the kind of Christ light compared to, say, some of the man-made objects in the dream. Like if you're in a dense city, say, you know, I find that's supportive for me, and the stillness and the openness and the kind of, there's a clarity that I see reflected in the dream there, which kind of just, it almost like, it doesn't bring me into right-mindedness, but it kind of reflects to me the right mind and the qualities of the right mind within me. And therefore I can, you know, I can join more easily in that space and hear the Holy Spirit speaking more easily. But also similar to you, like journaling, writing, I often will channel the Holy Spirit in writing, sometimes, you know, with intention, other times it will just come forth organically. Art, I love to express, you know, creatively, like make things like artistically as well, and, you know, feel the Holy Spirit working through me in that way. I really feel like there's no limit on the ways that the Holy Spirit can express, you know, through us as us, if we're open and willing. And so my prayer is always to be used by the Holy Spirit for the Holy Spirit's plan, and, you know, to say what the Holy Spirit want me to say, to think what the Holy Spirit want me to think, and just to be of service, to be truly helpful. And however that unfolds, I feel like it's different in each moment, depending on, you know, what's in my mind and what's sort of in my dream, and where I am, and ultimately what the Holy Spirit knows is best for all in any moment.
Yeah, you know, the Course in Miracles teaches us that the Holy Spirit is the answer to the egoic voice. You know, when supposedly the Son of God forgot to laugh, it says, and then we don't know anything else since. And basically, you know, there's this comforting voice, and it's the answer to that fear. And it's such a beautiful tool that we have to come back true to our sanity and to our true nature. That's why I feel that this is such a powerful and helpful interview, because it's a tool that we have. And as you said, you're so right. The Holy Spirit's always there. It is our comforter. It's always there no matter what, even when we're in fear. That's the good news. Mm-hmm. Now, the only thing is that we believe our thoughts. We're lost in the illusion. So we can use these tips that you're sharing, that I'm sharing, of where we can come back to our right mind very gently. And I think one of the ways that we also do that is by being gentle with ourselves and also having some grace. When we do, I always say, get lost in the cuckoo voice, right? Get lost in the wrong mind. And I call myself Maria la Loca, you know, the Maria la Loca. She has come, and when I accept her, she starts to like dissipate, the thought starts to go, and I come back to my right mind. So I feel that you're right. It depends on the circumstances. It depends on where we're at in our lives. It depends on the situations. But what I'm hearing that's very comforting for me is that we do have that voice, and that we are taken care of, and that we are loved, and that we are seen in that space.
Yes.
And with that being said, I was wondering, if you said you sing, I'm not sure what type of modalities you use and such, but can we do maybe a process together of where you connect to the inner wisdom and you sing? This is something that's just coming spontaneously. I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can absolutely do that.
So whatever you say, I'll get on my head, whatever you need.
Yes, I would be very happy to do that. I don't mind. We can do it now, or we can do it we can talk more and do it after, whatever.
We can do it now as an experience, just to kind of let everything that we've talked ground. I think will be good. Yeah, anything you. Okay. Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, well, everyone, I invite you to close down your eyes.
If you're not driving.
If you're not driving, obviously. Yeah, and those of you that can't do this now, you can watch back later. I think if this is going to be shared. Yeah, okay. So just closing down the eyes and bringing the awareness within. And just with a little willingness, opening to join in the mind with the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, may your will be done in this eternal now moment. We offer ourselves to you in openness to receive a transmission of your pure, perfect light through sound, in service to the healing, joining, and salvation of all children of God. Opening to receive. Naya no koyo mai. Urania. Waria maya naraya taya nawaya yakum. Yuno shorotoi ayatia naya now. Maria dianaria kaya. Uraki ayo tumaya. Giving thanks for this transmission of light through sound, for this joining as one with all, facilitated by the Holy Spirit. Thank you. And just taking a breath in through the nose and exhaling in a sigh of gratitude. Just gently, you're in time, coming back, rejoining us with eyes open. And if you feel to share how you experienced that in the chat, we would love to hear. Thank you for that invitation, love.
You're welcome. It was so guided. I just kept on hearing the nudge. Ask her, ask her. I was like, okay, I'll ask her. I don't know what that looks like, but let's just go for it. That's why I love the spontaneity of spirit. It was so powerful. I had never heard you. We just met. So cool to hear what you're offering. What language are you speaking?
Well, I would only call it the language of light. That's, it's beyond, it's not an actual language. It's the language of light. So it's beyond words and beyond kind of identity and culture.
Light and Beauty says, so beautiful, it moved me.
Thank you. So glad, love.
Yeah. I at first it was I thought it was a language at first, but then I was like, well, maybe not. So I was right. Angie Francis, hey, Angie says thank you.
You're welcome, darling. You're so welcome.
It's just just such a very unique and beautiful way to connect. And also, anybody can do that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
Because I'm inspired to sit and try it. That sound for me, I just experienced a one-on-one sound healing sound bath for just myself, and it's incredible how the frequencies of sound and music heal and help you connect even deeper. Like it takes it even to another level. That's what I experienced with you.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I do a lot of sound healing and sound work. It's one of the ways that I offer those that work with me, a space to be able to join and come into the experience of, their true self and their oneness with God. Maria says, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Maria. You're so welcome. Thank you for receiving.
Wow. I was actually opening my eyes sometimes because I wanted to see you. I was like this, and I would close my eyes and I would connect, but I really wanted to just see you do it because I had it, and I was like, wow, I was just blown away. I was peeking, because I was like, it was so beautiful. I wanted to see the expression of it through you, and how organically it comes through. How does it feel for you when you're extending that? It must be, because when I'm speaking or giving a class, I start to get very emotional and I feel the presence of God. So I'm wondering how it feels for you when you're channeling this music.
It feels like heavenly, just pure bliss, just like an overflowing waterfall of light that's just extending eternally in all directions. It's just the most wonderful feeling.
How do you recommend for beginners or new people that are new to this to just start doing this? Do they sit with themselves and start expressing their voice in different ways?
Well, I do have a class which is about channeling light, which is specifically about like activating your voice to channel in that way. But really anyone could do it just by, you know, asking the support of the Holy Spirit and setting the intention to open your voice that way, and just to start making sounds first, you know, because often there's many layers of blocks that are holding the voice back from expressing, you know, fluidly as a channel. So there's some undoing of like vocal blocks that often is necessary in order to then come to the space of being able to just open your voice and completely surrender it to spirit like that, without any ego kind of layers of like, is this right, is this good, am I doing it, like doubting, you know, all these other ego thoughts that can come in. So with practice you can surrender more and trust yourself more, and you get to know the vibrational difference between when your ego is like singing or sounding through your voice, and when the Holy Spirit's coming through your voice, you know.
Yeah, wow. Is that, I've heard the expression light language. Is that what that is? Because I've heard that expression before. Or
I mean, you ultimately, yes. I mean, that is what you could call it. For me, it's, you know, channeling the Holy Spirit through my voice. It's cool. It could be called light language, but really, it's just, I just call it often a transmission of light through sound, because that's a kind of more of a descriptive term that doesn't. Light language often has ego projections onto it and things like that from some people that, like, you know, whatever, don't understand what people are doing there. I mean, and I know some people like will channel like different beings and stuff. I always just channel the Holy Spirit through my vocal channel. But yeah, you know, it's definitely, some people call it light language for sure.
Yeah. And where can, I know you mentioned that course, where can people find that course that you mentioned?
So it's not in my bio. Actually, no, you can message me through a link. So there's a class called Channeling Light, and then I also have a vocal liberation course called The Untamed Voice. So they kind of go pretty well together. So yeah, you can message me and I can send you the link, but they're not in my bio at the moment because me and the father of my children used to work together, and we created a lot of courses and things together. And now I'm working on my own, and my path has gone in a different direction. So we just had a clearing of kind of our old, you know, it was a very powerful catalogue of work, which, you know, impacted many people. And yeah, we did a big sale. So I can give like a really great price for anyone who's interested in those courses, in that class or those courses. So just send me a message and I can get you the details.
Wonderful. Yeah. And everyone, you can find our beautiful teacher that's been with us today on Instagram. And I'm sure, let me see if I think that German put your website's not here. What is your website?
Again, because I'm going through this transition. Yeah, so just Instagram is the best place to find me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you're going through a transitional period. We'll conclude actually with that question, and I'll ask you some random fun questions that I like to do with my guests just to get to know you better. But this is my last serious question. It's not really serious at all, but how have you been with this transition, and what have you learned?
So, you know, we used to work together, and obviously we were partners, and we went through a year ago a transition in our relationship, and that also happened sort of at the same time as the transition of not working together. For me, it was very much guided by the Holy Spirit, and obviously, you know, the egos, you know, in me and the father of my children had a process to go through with like me following that kind of inspired guidance. But I just had this sense of brightness. So even though like on paper, like, you know, I just had a baby and things, we have 2 children together, and we had a business, and, you know, we had our kind of our mission project together and everything. So it could seem like, oh, this isn't a wise idea. I just knew there was growth that was calling us, that was going to happen outside of the relationship dynamic, outside of the co-creative dynamic that we'd been in for 4 years. So I trusted that guidance and followed through, and very, very quickly I started to see the growth within my own being. I felt the deepening in my connection to the Spirit, and also to Jesus, and towards the teachings of the course, and also I noticed the same for the father of my children. So ultimately, you know, that it was my faith that really kind of gave me the courage to follow through, and that faith, you know, continuously kind of kept building and strengthening, and I would see, I feel within my own being, within my own mind, well, within our mind, I would feel within our mind, you know, the fruits of joining in the Holy Spirit and trusting the Holy Spirit's plan the ego's plan. You know, like our egos project all these things of like, I'm gonna have this future with this person, and it's gonna be like this, and this is how it's always gonna be, or whatever. And you know, ultimately we don't know what's best for us, and Holy Spirit knows what's going to be best for us to learn. And all lessons are learning about love, you know, and remembering that purpose. And as long as I'm listening to the Holy Spirit's guidance, no matter like how my ego feels about it, I'm always going to be learning the love lesson that I need to learn. And it's always going to be learned in the most kind of effective, efficient way, you know, that the Holy Spirit knows I need it. So I really just had trust that this is all happening for growth and for healing and for joining. And absolutely, I've seen that. And you know, the father of my children has actually recently, we experienced a miracle where he also has come to the course, and now we're joining in the teachings of the course, which is really beautiful. And yeah, like that's been amazing just to witness the Holy Spirit work miracles through my family in that way. And for us to really kind of deepen in the revelation of true love within our dynamic as we've, you know, as we've trusted and surrendered to the flow of the Holy Spirit's guidance. Because it's really not about what's happening outside in the world. It's not about what's happening with the bodies, you know. It doesn't really matter which bodies you're around and how much time you're spending around them and how long your relationship with one body is compared to another. And the ego is so fixated on bodies and time and like kind of specialness over certain bodies and fixation on certain durations of time that we want to be around certain other bodies based on specialness. And so when we move beyond that and we realize none of that matters, and the only thing that matters is that we're learning the love lessons that we need to learn, that the Holy Spirit is taking complete care of, then we kind of, you know, we accelerate our learning, and we, you know, accelerate, you know, our joining, and we're able to extend love, you know, more purely, more truly, more freely to our, you know, ourselves, and therefore to all. And you know, it doesn't really matter what love is guiding us to do, because love is always guiding us to love, and Holy Spirit is always guiding us to what's going to allow and support, you know, the extension of love and the revelation of love within one and all. So, you know, like I love that so much, because I'm just like, it literally doesn't matter what happens in the world. It doesn't matter at all, like what does and doesn't succeed, and what does and doesn't last, and who comes and who goes, you know. All of that is not important, because all that matters is that we're learning our love lessons, and the Holy Spirit takes care of that. That is completely, perfectly taken care of. Like there will never be, you know, a single stone out of place in the Holy Spirit's plan. In that sense. So
Miracles talks about behavior. It's not, which is what you're speaking to. It's like, it's never about the behavior. It's never about what is happening in form with the bodies and, you know, how they're acting out or etc. It's really about that's what I love about the Course in Miracles, and has everything to do with our conversation today, which is listening to spirit and guidance. The way that you shared your story is it in action, you know, the way that you're perceiving it, because the Course is teaching us you get to perceive, you have the free will to perceive it through the lens of love or fear. It's up to you. So it could be any circumstance, such as in this case, a relationship changing the way it looks to a different type of form. And how powerful for you to be able to stand up here, and for anyone that might be going through, you know, a relationship transition or a transition with work, it could be with anything. Your story is inspiring because you've decided to see it through the lens of love. And I'm not going to say maybe it hasn't been hard or the transition's not hard. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that you've made the decision to say, I'm going to see this with Holy Spirit. I'm going to see this with Christ's vision. I'm not going to see this as an obstacle. I'm going to see this as an opportunity to grow. And the Course in Miracles says that. It says, sometimes you think that you're not making advances, and you are. And sometimes you're, you know, that's just the way that it is. So I think it's so powerful. I feel like the Holy Spirit always takes these interviews and just guides the whole thing, because it was so powerful how what we were talking about, you literally shared in action, like how you're practicing it in this situation right now. It's epic. I'm sorry, everybody better share this interview, por favor.
Yeah, you know, you're completely, you know, right with that. Love, like, it's always a choice to see the truth, right? And the truth is that love is, and all that's happening in any moment that we're learning is that the truth is being revealed to us, you know. So whether we want to like make, you know, see something through the ego's eyes or through the Holy Spirit eyes, it depends what we're attached to. Are we attached to suffering and victimhood, or are we, you know, devoted to joining and healing, you know? And so it's always a matter of, you know, perception, and we can always bring it right. We can always bring it right back in, and everything for me, the answer is always like the Course says, everything's either a call for love or an extension of love, right? An expression of love. And whether it's one or the other, the answer is the same. The answer is always to love. So in any circumstance, all that is happening is the same thing, is that love is wanting to be more truly, more clearly revealed, you know, within the mind. And so if that's always what's trying to happen in every, you know, situation, if that's always the answer, if that's always the way, that's always the way to peace, that's always the way to clarity, that's always the way to join into shared interest, then we always have the choice. And if we're in the right mind, we're going to choose for, you know, the revelation of love. And it doesn't matter how quickly we are able to see fully through the Christ, you know, vision. You know, this is again the ego. Sometimes our egos will be like, well, I want to be in love now. You know, I want to see clearly now, and I want to be out of the ego mind now. But you know, that's the beauty of the process of forgiveness and the Holy Spirit's plan, is the Holy Spirit knows exactly the different layers that are clouding your Christ vision, and that are like, you know, kind of creating density around the love that you are and the revelation of that. So those layers are going to come apart in the perfect way, in the perfect moment, and also be on time. So we don't need to rush anything, you know. We simply just have a little bit of willingness, and we remember that, you know, we have the choice, and we remember that love is wanting to be revealed here. So whenever we find ourselves confused and we're like, what's happening? Then we can be like, oh, I know what's happening. Love wants to be revealed. That's what's happening. Love is trying to be revealed to me. So like, let me choose for that. And let me choose to see through love, with love, as love, and to join with whoever else is or isn't involved, you know, in love, knowing that they are the love, you know, that I am, and we get to move more towards that. And every moment, every interaction is just an opportunity to take another step. Sometimes it's a tiny step, and sometimes it feels like a huge leap. Sometimes it feels like we run a whole marathon in a moment, and you know, we can, because it's beyond time. So there's no order of difficulty in miracles, right? And really, like, the tiny step is just as miraculous as the huge leap, as the marathon, you know. So however the miracle comes to be is perfect. And miracles are wanting to miracles, which is essentially, you know, correction and healing, repair. It's the revelation of love within. It's wanting to happen every moment, right? Yeah. How amazing is that? The Holy Spirit does not leave us a single moment where a miracle is not possible, available, wanting to come forth, right? And so this is miracle mindedness, is knowing that the Holy Spirit is working on all, like, seeming levels and beyond time and beyond levels, through every single mind and all the one mind, right, for the revelation of love. It's the perfect plan. It's perfectly orchestrated. It's complete. It's whole. It's total. It's absolute. It's overflowing with with full wisdom and full intelligence and full divine design. And this is the only truth, and nothing else is true. And so there's not that much for us to do then, apart from to rest in that. And that's where faith becomes easy, because faith is easy when we look at the reality of what it is we're having faith in. And the reality of what we're having faith in is, you know, the all-encompassing eternal nature of God, and our true identity in God as love, as one with that love. And I mean, what's not to have faith in then, really? You know, the small little idea of the ego that's not real. I mean, yeah, it's hard to justify a lack of faith when we present, you know, when we really look to the reality, or like join in the reality of God in our mind. So no, I really enjoyed sharing that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's very powerful, and I think that's why the Course in Miracles teaching is so vital. I mean, if it's called to be your path, again, the course even says this is one of many paths, which I think is beautiful. But for me, it's so important for me in my life, because it really helps me to get down to my beliefs. It really helps me to change my perception, just like you so beautifully shared how you've been able to perceive this in such a different way, especially having, young children. I'm a mother too, so, I know what's involved there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking of something funny, and then we'll close, we'll start closing it up. Is I remember my first marriage ended in divorce, and I've been remarried, and I've been married for about 7 years now. But when my first marriage ended, I'm never gonna forget it. My house, I just had a short sale. My marriage had ended like 2 years before that. My house was on a short sale. I was losing my house. I hardly had money in the bank. And this broker, this realtor, knew my finances. He knew everything because he was trying to help me sell my house. And I had just had an ectopic pregnancy. I had a surgery. It was a hot mess. In the world, it was a literally hot mess. And I remember this guy sitting in my sofa saying to me, I don't get it. I go, what do you mean? He's like, you went through a divorce. You just went through a divorce like a few years ago. You're losing your house. You have no money in the bank because he knew I didn't really have money. And you just had an ectopic pregnancy. You just had this huge surgery. And you're so happy. I don't get it. Can you please tell me what's happening? Because he was so successful. He had all this money. He had his own real estate company. And it's the first time that it really hit me. And I became very humble. And I was like, I don't know. It's just at the time, and now I know because of time, obviously, it's because of my mindset. It's because my choice every day to get up and see things through the eyes of love, to remember I've never left the mind of God, right? To remember who my source is. And it's hard sometimes because life is going to hit you, things are going to happen. But that's what your story was reminding me of. It's like you get to choose. It doesn't matter what shit show it could be. You get to choose how you're going to see it. So anyways, that's my sermon for today. Amen.
Thank you.
All right, sweetheart. I'm gonna let you go. I was gonna do the final questions, but I think it's all good. I feel that we've pretty much complete here. At least I feel complete, and I hope that you do as well. Just some final words, some final thoughts before we conclude. We have a few more minutes.
Yeah. I'm just grateful for this joining and to be able to share with your community and for our communities to join in this way. And for those that feel called to learn more about the course, obviously we absolutely encourage that, because if you're feeling guided to it, then it's part of your path. As you can hear and feel and see in the mind as well, the course has the potential to profoundly, transform your experience within the dream world and to bring you really close to the truth of who you are and the truth of God and the reality of God. And so, yeah, just encouraging you to keep going in your forgiveness and your devotion if you're already a course student, and if you're intrigued to learn more, encouraging you to follow that call and to trust, that the Holy Spirit is guiding you to the course for a reason. It's truly been, a second awakening for me, the course, truly. I feel like I was already on the path towards the course since I had my spiritual awakening, in a sense, like the first time around. And then as I was ready for a deeper layer of truth and another, I was more devoted to undoing the illusion within my own mind, then the course, was presented to me in the perfect timing when the Holy Spirit knew I was ready, for the joining in that way. So yeah, I'm just grateful to have been here with you, and thank you, Maria, and thank you everyone who's joined us.
Yes, thank you too. Thank you for your wisdom and for being so willing and open with us. And I just invite everyone, if you felt inspired, if you felt that this interview was truly helpful, if you learned something, I invite you to share it and share this message. I will be also, this will be recorded on here on Instagram, but it will also be posted later on YouTube as a podcast. And yeah, I'm just grateful and thankful. I just wanted to remind everyone that this Friday we have our Accessing Inner Wisdom class, the class of the month, which is the month of September. And I also just recently started something, which is the Happy Miracle membership, which is a membership for course students. I'm terrified, and at the same time I'm so excited, just because people are joining in, and it's a nice community of where we get to all practice the course together. Every month I have an ACIM meditation offering. We have a workbook. We also have screensavers. We have classes every month. We have our Facebook group. So I just wanted a hub where Course in Miracles students could come and we can all practice the course together and live it. Most importantly, live it. So check it out. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. And if any of you want to follow me, you can find me at the Ascension Seed. I share, you know, different things, all kind of course related teachings, and but also with healing kind of work, like what I shared earlier with sound, and you know, I do a lot of prayer work, which is some of my favorite work to do, to join in prayer with those that feel called. So yeah, if you feel called to connect and, you know, come join with me in any of my offerings, I would absolutely love to join with you there. And just, yeah, sending so much love and gratitude to all of you.
And as you said earlier, since I know you're in a transition and you don't have a website, but people can follow you on Instagram and message you. So we invite you.
I always share about, you can DM me if you're interested in like the channeling light or the untamed voice, but I always share on my stories and my posts about offerings that I have. I have an upcoming offering called the Union Portal, which is all about joining, and we explore different aspects of kind of how we can join in union with God, union with the Christ, union with, you know, the I am presence, union with the beloved and ourself as the beloved, and union with Father and Mother God, and yeah, just different, just, you know, experiencing and exploring union with God in different ways. So I'll be launching that again in January, but in the next couple of months, I think next month actually, I'm going to be doing a course called the God Portal, which is one of my favorite ever offerings, which is essentially like a deep dive, a 3-week deep dive intensive into relationship with God. And it's been really upgraded as well since I'm, you know, deepened a lot into my course journey. So I'm super excited to teach that. So yeah, if any of you feel called to that, you can find out about that on my profile.
All right. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
So much love.
And we will be in touch. Bye, sister.
Maria, much love to you, darling. Take care. Have a beautiful day.
You too.
Bye.